It is day 100 of being a BigScreen VR headset owner. In this video, I'm going to recap on my initial observations, impressions, and feelings about the headset, and also what I think about it now after 100 days. So if you don't want to know right now, that is, then perhaps put your fingers in your ears or hit mute, and definitely skip the video onto where I go through my observations and do the recap. Because right now, I'm going to tell everybody watching this video who hates content creators dragging out the answer until the end just to get the YouTube algorithm on side. I'm going to tell you my opinion straight away. So spoiler alert. Have you muted? Have you skipped ahead? Okay, but don't blame us if I tell you now and it makes you think you've just wasted your time watching this video. After 100 days, I still believe that this is a much better headset for me than a Pimax 8KX. I still love it. I still would choose this headset over anything else on the market at the time when I purchased it. Now, if you appreciate getting the answer straight away, I would appreciate if you wouldn't mind hitting like. Please, if you don't mind, hit subscribe. You can ignore my videos afterwards, but sharing also would help. So a like, a subscribe, and a share just to help out the channel at 126 grams or just around 127 grams. This headset, in comparison to anything I wore before, is like a feather. At 24 or just over 24 millimeters at its thinnest point, just above 52 millimeters at its thickest point, and about 143 millimeters in length, this headset is tiny. With the micro OLEDs as well, the resolution is amazing. The color depth is so rich, it's unbelievable. And because it's so light, play sessions are just comfortable. So when I initially had it, I didn't notice things that other owners had, such as the small sweet spot. The reason I didn't notice it, as you'll notice, is I wear varifocal glasses. So I'm used to not looking and glancing at the edge of the lens because the prescription isn't the same strength across the entire face of the lens. So when I first started wearing the BigScreen Beyond, I would focus directly at what I wanted to look at, and instead of glancing left and right, I would pivot my head left and right. That's what I'm used to with the glasses. So I didn't notice that there was a small sweet spot. It was only after seeing other people's feedback, reading other reviews, watching other videos, and hearing all of this noise about a small sweet spot that I went looking for it. And hey presto, as soon as I started glancing to the periphery of the lens, I noticed it. So the small sweet spot is definitely a thing. However, I also didn't notice the glare. And again, there were a lot of people calling out the fact that there's a lot of glare in the BigScreen Beyond. That's because in the original videos, and if you'd like to watch that, I'll put it as a link, or I'll add it as an end screen card. I was playing games where the background lighting was subdued, where it was dark. So I was in cockpits in Assetto Corsa or Assetto Corsa Competizione or in rFactor 2, and then latterly in Le Mans Ultimate. I wasn't in a bright, high contrast environment. It wasn't until I jumped into Microsoft Flight Simulator and took a flight through the Alps, where there's a lot of snow-capped mountains, a lot of frost and snow on the ground, and the lighting is that low winter sun, that I noticed straight away, yes, there is a lot of glare in the BigScreen Beyond. However, it made sense to me. It was a compromise I could accept, because when I'm driving in real life during winter in the same conditions, or on a summer's day when the sun is blazing down on us and those light rays or the sun shafts come through the windscreen, I too get glare on my glasses. I have to get my prescription every single time with anti-glare, so I'm used to, at times, the sunlight being a bit of an issue. And again, as I said, in the cockpit, as I was flying through the Alps, it made sense as the sun came over my shoulder in the cockpit, casting shadows. Where the glare was in the headset made sense. So yes, 100% there is definitely a glare issue, and there is definitely a small sweet spot. However, I came from an Oculus Rift CV1 and then went to a Pimax 5KX and then onto the Pimax 8KX. Each of those got heavier and larger as I upgraded. And when I bought the 8KX, my initial thought was I would upgrade it and trade in for the Pimax 12K, because I wanted that hyper clear resolution and definition that I couldn't get with the previous headsets. However, after a considerable amount of time playing in VR, it got to the point where I just got tired of having all of that infrastructure sitting on my face. I mean, when I put this on and show you, you'll see just how light as a feather, how comfortable, how ergonomic it is to wear this, and why after 2 hours, 3 hours, it isn't an issue compared to what it was like putting on my face, that huge in comparison Pimax 8KX. So as I started to think about it and got really frustrated with the pain that I would get at the back of my head after having it hanging off my face because I didn't have any counterweights, or the fact that after an extended play session my face would just be covered in perspiration, I started thinking more and more, I'm not quite sure I want to put something as large as what the 12K was going to be on my face. So when I saw the first adverts for the BigScreen VR, I was smitten. When I read all of the specifications of it, I got a little bit excited. And so it became a gamble. Do I commit, and do I send off my pre-order in the hope that everything they promised came to pass? And I've got to say, it has. If you use a VR headset, if you're somebody who's played in VR for any extended period of time, if you have gone through multiple different headsets, you will know that it's all a compromise. No one headset has everything, ticks every single box. There is always something you have to give up on. With the BigScreen VR, what I've given up on is that wider field of view. And it is noticeable. It's like going back to wearing an Oculus CV1. However, what I get with that narrower field of view is a trade-off. It's more comfortable, the picture's clearer, and the blacks, as they said with that micro OLED, the blacks are truly rich and black. I also give up the ability to glance left and right with my eyes going further towards the edge of my peripheral vision and still having it being crystal clear. That is a compromise as well. So when people ask how does this compare to the Crystal and why didn't I compare it to the Crystal, the only answer I have is I didn't own a Crystal. A Crystal was another option for the upgrade that I potentially could have gone to. As I watch video after video and see review after review of people that do have both headsets or have been able to try both headsets, I understand that the Crystal is just as good, if not better, than the BigScreen Beyond, because it has the same clarity of vision, but it has that increased field of view. However, it also doesn't have that glare that you have to put up with in the BigScreen VR. But for me, I have to say, I still don't think I would trade in my BigScreen Beyond for a Crystal. And the fundamental reason for that is, and let me show you, putting on the BigScreen VR and wearing this for any extended period of time is so easy, is so comfortable. Whereas it only really takes up a little bit more space than a pair of sunglasses and feels no more restrictive than wearing swimming goggles. With the Pimax 8KX, I would be taking up a hell of a lot more of my face, with so much more equipment hanging off the front of my face that over a period of time, it would become noticeable that I was having to counterweight and keep my head pivoted upwards. But as you can see, the BigScreen Beyond is tiny. Whereas some people don't like the original strap that comes with it, for me, I love it because I don't have something that has a fitted form. It's something that I can amend and adjust to my heart's content so that I get the perfect comfort, so that I can fit it to my head shape, so that it is counterbalancing the small amounts of the 126, 127 grams hanging off my face, and also so I can get the head strap so that I have it fitting my head rather than trying to struggle with something that is rigid to make it feel comfortable. The only thing I will say is that the cable probably weighs more than the headset. So without having it perhaps perched on my shoulder or perched over the back of the chair, after a while it becomes noticeable that it is pulling down on the left hand side of the headset. I can feel that it's skewing my vision slightly, or skewing the headset I should say. However, I can counterbalance that by tightening the right hand side of the headset to put it laterally. But this, there is no light bleeding in below my cheeks, there is no light bleeding in across my brow. The fit is so comfortable. Now you'll note, or if you've watched my previous video, you'll know that I changed the gasket. The original gasket that came with it felt as though it was sitting just above my jawline and below my eye socket, and just below my brow line and above my eye sockets. So it started to feel as though it was pressing in to my eye sockets after a period of time. And whilst I wouldn't say it was painful and I wouldn't say it was uncomfortable, there was a level of discomfort that was just frustrating. It was annoying. It was like wearing a pair of shoes that don't fit right, or wearing a shirt that doesn't fit right. It was just wrong. Something was off. However, again, if you watch my video talking about the customer service for BigScreen Beyond, it was something that was remedied extremely quickly. As soon as I submitted the ticket to BigScreen Beyond and asked them to look into it, their immediate response in less than 5 hours was, not a problem. Are you able to take a new face scan? And can you describe what the problem was? And the problem was that the original gasket, which was thicker, just didn't fit right. Now, it was probably something to do with the way that the original face scan worked, and that's another issue. Let's talk about the face scan. The fact you need to have an iPhone, an iOS device, you can't use an Android phone, that's not great. The fact that BigScreen Beyond suggests if you don't have an iPhone to take the face scan, you should go and borrow a friend's, just feels a little bit off. Or if you have a Apple store where they will just allow you to walk in and borrow one of their phones so you can scan your face to buy another product, but not to buy an iPhone, that just seems to be asking a lot of Apple. So come on, BigScreen Beyond, find a solution where an Android user can scan their face, where they don't need to be tied to finding someone in their circle of friends who'll say, yeah, sure, grab my phone, scan your face, and go on about your day. So that needs looking into as well. Other than that, the fact that they're in the US, I'm in the UK, and it took less than 5 hours to respond to my initial ticket, top marks for customer service. The fact that their initial response was straight away, no resistance, not a problem. Can you take a new face scan? Sure. Can you describe what the issue is? Perfect. And then within 30 days, I had this, the thinner gasket. So if you haven't bought one yet, if you're thinking about buying one, and this is not me endorsing the product or recommending that you buy the product, think about making sure that when you take the scan, you're really comfortable with it. I tried to take my scan in really good lighting. I tried to make sure that my IPD was accurate, but yeah, if I could do it again, which I did have to do, I would have made sure I did it during the day, not during the evening, and I would have made sure I had all the lights on. That was something else as well. I saw a number of people that had issues where the IPD wasn't quite right, and since this is a permanent setting, there is no option on this headset to change your IPD. You want to make sure that it's right. So for me, I went and got my eyes tested again. I got my optician to tell me what my IPD was, and I ordered the prescription lens inserts, which just fit nicely magnetically onto the lens. But yeah, 100 days in, I still to this day believe that this is the best headset I have ever owned. I am looking forward to seeing what the next generation of headsets are like. I'm hoping to see that instead of getting larger and larger as they try to accommodate more and more of the requirements that we as VR enthusiasts are asking for, I'm hoping instead that they follow the route of BigScreen Beyond and are able to contract, condense and reduce the size without sacrificing field of view. So that will be interesting to see if we can get to a point where you can have a small form factor headset that has the sort of field of view that you can get from a Pimax 8KX or 12K. And there's one other thing I should say. I've noticed, and it happened quite quickly, that because of the thinner gasket, my eyelashes, which I don't know if you can see in the video, are quite long. They're about that long. Crying out loud, I'm like Bambi. After a extended play session, especially when I'm playing through the spring and summer and the ambient temperature is higher, specifically days when I don't realize that someone has turned on the central heating as well, it can get quite warm. And then straight away, my eyelashes start to pick up on the moisture and they start to paint the lenses. So after about 20 minutes, 30 minutes on a hot day, whereas when I initially was wearing the headset, I didn't get any perspiration buildup. I didn't get that same sweaty face I had with the Pimax. I do now note that, yes, in warmer ambient temperatures, after an extended play session, I do get the perspiration building up around my eye and just on the top of my cheekbone. However, it's still only this section of my face rather than this section of my face. When playing with the Pimax after an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours during summer, I'd literally have to go and wash my face, wipe down my entire face. Whereas with this, it's just a case of wiping my cheekbone, wiping the bridge of my nose. But yeah, do I still love it? I do still love it. Is the honeymoon period over? This is an extended honeymoon period. If I had the option of making the decision again, would I buy this again? I would buy this again. If I had the choice of owning this or the Pimax Crystal or the Pimax 12KX, which would I buy? I would still buy this. That's me. That's my impressions. That's my observations. That's my feelings owning a BigScreen VR for 100 days. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Do you own one? Were you thinking of owning one? Are you somebody who's maybe on the fence and doesn't know whether or not to go for this or the Crystal, or perhaps for something else? Are you waiting for a 5th generation headset? Let me know if you agree with my opinion, disagree with my opinion, but either way, if you wouldn't mind hitting like, perhaps even subscribing, and definitely if you don't mind sharing, it would really help the channel out. I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.